All right, well, hello there. Happy holidays and welcome back. I'm Rorscahch, or at least that's who I think I am in the morning when I wake up. And we're going to be doing something a little different. This isn't a Poxcast, this isn't a developer update. I know I've started some things, and overall it's turned out pretty bad. But this is something new that we're going to be doing. I'm trying to keep it short, too. I'm going to stick to a script. So, what's going on here in Pox, really, is we're in a very turbulent time of trying to do a lot of big projects and stuff, and we're going to ask for your patience, but also we're going to ask that you help us. I need you guys to test the things we're doing, and I need you to break it. To those who don't know yet, there are some pretty overall bugs we're going to try to fix before the new year comes in, and then we're going to try to hopefully finish up the rest of that by January timeframe. But right now, everyone's just really busy with their real lives on the dev team, and I think that's all I need to say about that right there. I could get into it, but I feel that's personal. And I'm sorry if you guys want to know, you can at least ask me on the Discord. I'll tell you what happened to me. But for the others associated, they can, if they feel comfortable, they can share it. It's not my place, you know. It's not your place, Larry. I've been watching a lot of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Let's keep on track, okay, guys? I know you guys like it when I get a little crazy and off topic, but today's not the day, right? So what are we doing is we started this last week. And basically all this is it's going to be like an open forum, a community, like think of like a town hall meeting. I'm going to try to do this every Friday, or at least every once a week or once every 2 weeks. I'll post the date and stuff like that as we continue on. The times might change. I'm going to try to find a good time for everyone so they can join. If you don't want to join, that's fine. I'm going to be recording a summary or the actual conversations themselves. Probably a summary. It'll be quicker and shorter. But we'll be doing that so that way people can watch this and keep up to date, or it can be linked to people so that way they know the answers. And if not that, then at least there's something so that way I'm trying to work on communication. I feel like communication, dev team to community is really lacking, but I also feel like just the community alone, a lot of things don't get passed around. There's some misinformation, stuff like that. So I think as long as we're transparent and we're clear, everyone should be okay. The first one we did was very successful. The second one, less people showed up, but I did it at a different time when a lot of people are either at work or busy. I'm sorry, that was just the best time for me. Like I said, we'll try to change it, and if it needs be, I can try to do like 2 days. We'll play around with it and we'll test as it is. Basically, all this is I'm gonna be saying some things. If I have anything I need to update you guys on, I'll let you guys know. But this is the time for you guys to air your grievances. Any questions, comments, or complaints, you can direct them at me during this time so I can answer them, or you can do it privately offline, whatever helps you. You can join in on the call. It's going to be happening at, where's it happening? General voice chat on the Poxnora Discord. You can join the call. You don't have to talk. You don't have to do anything. You can write your questions in the chat. I'll read them if I catch them, or at me, and we'll get to you. Everyone gets fair share, though. No one gets talked over. No one gets forgotten about, as long as I'm trying my best here, okay? I also feel that it helps out when I speak instead of type. I mentioned this. I'm a very, due to some life experiences and stuff, turned out to be a pretty, like, blunt typist is a good direction. My tone isn't always transparent when I type, and it can come off as very aggressive, and I do apologize. So I feel like if I'm talking more, and as long as people, like, I feel like voices are just easier to use to get tone across, and also you can understand that I'm not very violent or I'm not angry or anything. Like, if you're hearing me right now, you'd be like, oh, he's not that angry. But if you saw me type, you'd be like, man, this guy's really pissed off, or he has a stick up his butt or something, right? I'm trying, okay? We're all trying. That's the thing. So let's move across that. Let's keep on track, right? So what is this thing? Anyone's allowed to join. You can post your questions prior. I do wish, if you guys have questions, post them to me or on the Discord and let me know prior to the meeting so I can try to find the answer. If I can't find the answer, or I don't know the answer, I will try to find someone who does know the answer, or I will try to at least figure out something to bring closure to the question at hand. I don't want to try to leave anything unopened, right? This is also time for you guys just to communicate amongst yourselves, and for me to be a mediator or anything. Again, you can focus all the negativity at me. I will take that as the fall guy. I don't think that's the job, or I don't think I'm trying to do it as a heroic thing. I would just rather people cuss at me than each other. It's a small community, and at this point, I don't see why, besides like getting worked up over a game, or getting, or real life stuff kind of being vented out throughout the game, which isn't what you're supposed to do, but it happens. I'm guilty of it. We've all done it, right? We've had some bad stuff happen in real life, and you just kind of let it out on the internet because it's a void for you to scream in, right? That being said, I've said this a lot of times, I would like you guys just be nicer. If that means you have to come after me, so be it. Because recently I've been learning to just walk away, turn my monitor off or whatever. That has signaled some people thinking that I'm leaving Poxnora or I don't care or stuff like that. No, I actively do care. It's just I'm trying to grow as a person so I can be a better person to work on this game and also just a better person in general. This isn't anything new. I've been doing this for a while now. It's just this last year, 2023 is when it really came to fruition. And I'm trying to make changes for my personal life so I can be rewarded later on. I'm in college now and I have a partner and all that stuff. But again, that's more of a different conversation for a different time, right? We're here for the works. So again, as I said, the open forum, it's going to usually be on Fridays. I think next week it'll be on a Saturday. We'll get to that later on. We'll loop back around and stuff like that. But anyone's free to join as long as you're not banned in game or banned in the Discord or muted and stuff like that. I don't believe a lot of people are. I think there's only like 4 individuals or 5 that are. So sorry, you guys messed around and found out. But for everyone else, please, to me, there's no such things as stupid questions, even though sometimes questions can be repeated and people get tired of those. I'm guilty of doing that too. But honestly, there's no stupid questions, and I'm hoping this will help alleviate and bring some clarity to the community, so that way you guys aren't always, not always, but you guys just, that way it'll be more calmer and stuff. And it's not like we're abandoning you and stuff, because I get it. I actually just recently played another game and I was really getting back into it. I was really enjoying it, and they did a big update. And this is still a live game with multiple thousands of people playing it, right? And they botched the update so bad where their game was unplayable for like 4 or 5 days. And this is an actual game. And it made me feel so much better about how we do things, because I'm like, man, we're doing better than in an actual game studio. And we have one coder, and that's it. So I feel more relieved. I know it's not something, I know people want stuff done right away and stuff. And I'm sorry we're not Riot Games, right? I wish we were. I really do. And I'm not trying to be passive or do anything like that. I wish we had the capability to do everything we could, and if we ever get to that point, I'll be really happy. I don't think I'll be around for that point, but I'll be really happy if that ever gets to the fruition. So we're doing this just so people can feel like they're being heard, and actually are being heard. It also helps me keep accountable for myself, but also for other players. This is a team effort. I think it's easier just to be like, well, it's his fault, it's his job. For a long time, I took that on like Superman and thought I could, and I realized I'm just Ken, as the Barbie movie would say. I'm nothing special, right? So I think together as a combination, we should be okay. And I hope so, right? So moving on, here's some things we talked about on the December 29th, 2023 Poxnora Open Discussion Board. Things that I mentioned are, we recently just did maps. We put all the maps out except for, I think, 2, with the idea that first person should have some initiative, even though before it was like that. But the idea was they should have more priority than second turn, because second turn's getting the extra Nora. And also with the idea of trying to make games feel more fighty, trying to get people to interact with each other more and more, and always feel like you're able to interact with your opponent. The games might be quicker, but sometimes they always aren't. But the idea is that way you just don't feel like nothing is happening or transpiring. The reason for this is we had a big community movement, which basically said they're tired of people just not playing. I coined the term reactive players. I'm not calling anyone out, right? We know one person who's very infamously known for this playstyle, right? Well, that playstyle has started to spread, and it was spreading pretty predominantly for the last year. Things got more competitive as maps came out and stuff like that, and it's really shifted. But before that, it seemed like a lot of the general complaints were as players would make mistakes, or they wouldn't be in the most favorable positions or stuff like that, and there was no real way to punish them because they would just instantly start setting up a campsite, and they get their tent out and fire and stuff, and the only way to interact with them would be to lose your advantage, which I don't know any other game that has no punishment system for just being able to hide in your deployment zone directly. Most games have mechanics or something that punishes you, but Pox never implemented that, and I don't know if that's something we could I'm going to pause real quick. I'm going to do a quick rant about that, which is a lot of people want to say like, oh, just revert this, revert that. We actually don't have the capability to load up changes and then push them out and then archive the old changes. What we're actually doing is actively live editing things to change them permanently. So when people are like, just revert this, most of the time we don't have anything to revert besides like what was known knowledge or a record, to which you say, if you can, then you should archive it. Well, we do have a person who runs a separate database and he's very helpful, but I don't think he archives it for just how much space it would take up. Anyone is free to do this. If anyone wants to volunteer to become like the archivist, the job itself is extremely boring and tedious, and it sucks. I did it when I first came into office. The only problem is I switched PCs, and when I did a move, I didn't think straight, and I just threw away all my extra PC gear because I was tight on space, and I probably lost like 4 or 5 months worth of like archive documents that I never transferred over, and they were on that. But shit happens, right? We could always redo it. It's just work. That's the best part. It's just work. That's why no one wants to do it in the first place, including myself. And I'll get to that in a second. So, we changed the maps, and to great success, we had a big resurgence, but that wasn't the reason we changed maps. And people are like, well, why are you making all these damn changes, Rorscahch? And if I sound a little under the weather, my voice is cracked, I'm sorry. It's -4 degrees up here in Alaska. We've had a lot of issues with like I said, with my personal life and stuff like that, and I'm an active smoker, so I have bronchitis. So if I have a scratchy voice or something, I'm trying to hide it, but the more I talk, it's complicated. That's why I'm trying to also hurry through this for you guys' sake. So moving on, I've already talked for 3 hours in this open event, but we released these. Sorry, I'm getting a little not frustrated, I'm just kind of fried. I talked for 3 hours and now I'm talking again. Reminds me of my old job, but this is how I start wandering, so I'm going to keep myself on track, guys. We released these maps. Why are we releasing maps if not to draw players back? Well, we don't have as most of you guys know, we only have one coder, and then there's me and Eth, and that's mainly our dev team, and it's a very slow, painstaking process, and we have a lot of big changes planned because we have to get these out. And you're like, why do you have to get these out? Please, I promise you, stay with me or skip to the end and go backwards, and I'll talk about it at the end of the video, okay? But we changed maps. I know I kind of left a cliffhanger there, and I did it on purpose. I'm sorry, sue me. I just want to get through all this other stuff before we get to the Rorschach rant period of time. And I guess what? Trust me, I have it. I have it listed on this stuff. So, we made all these maps. Some are good, some are bad, some need rework, some might not even be viable. I don't know. I tried my best, and that's all I can say I did, okay? I've erected a new gathering of people. I've named it the Embassy. It is not to be confused with the older Poxnora tradition of the Council, which was just a bunch of good players who gave their feedback. I strictly actually did not pick good players because these people are more or less my advisors. Not to balance, but mainly just so I don't destroy anything. If they want to be known public, I can release that. The members are constantly changing just because I felt like some members are adding and some members aren't really doing much. And that's okay. This is a volunteer position, right? There are some stipulations, though. I would like players to be respectable. And, I'm held to a higher degree, and sometimes I break that. I'm held to a higher degree as a mod. So if you're going to be in this position, I'd like to hold you to a higher degree, too. And if you aren't into that degree, it just won't happen, right? But they're people who have good game sense. Like, I can tell you that one of them is Lanu Poxala. He's a part of the council. Now, I do think some of his opinions, like mine, are biased. But guess what? He runs the best third-party extension to the game, and we're actively working with him to try to get a new rune. I'm going to try to say the word. I usually say card. I can't say R-U-N-E because I have a speech impediment, and I used to get harassed about that, so I just went to cards. But he's trying to make a new card creator for and I don't say it like rune. I say that on purpose. We're getting off on a tangent, Rorschach. Get your ass back on track. But all right, he's making a new card creator for us, which I plan on using greater extents later on with the revamp. If you haven't heard about the revamp, I'll do a quick summary at the very end. All right, moving on. So we did maps. Maps were cool. Some of them kind of suck. Some of them had some big issues. We tried to do a quick turnaround for one of the maps, which is, we'll get to that in the second period bullet, but it didn't work out. All right, so we know. We're sorry. It happens. And you're like, it should have never made it to live. This isn't a real game anymore. We're in this weird thing where like you guys are playing the beta and the live version concurrently for right now. So we're sorry, but if you want an expansion, this is the things we need to get done. And more on that later on, wink, wink. So as I said, maps had some issues. So from player feedback, we are going to temporarily removed until fixed, or as you see on the screen, deemed unfixable and removed permanently. It's going to be, and you're seeing these weird names. Why are these weird names? Eth has actually went through and found lore accurate names to all the maps, and we plan on changing the names. And they're like, why? Well, another player added that it'd be cool to see the map's name somewhere so you know what map you're playing on. And I agree with him. Is that something possible? I have no clue. I think so. I'm going to ask Slug next time I get a chance to sit down and talk to him, okay? But, we thought it'd be cool to have those lore accurate names. It also adds, I mean, it's people who like lore. Like me, some people are like, why do you play this game? I just like the pictures. That's it. Same reason I like Magic. I don't like playing Magic. I like the pictures. I like art. Fantasy art is cool. End of discussion. You're like, this guy probably shouldn't be in charge of balance. How did I end up here? A lot of illegal I'm just kidding. This is all jokes, right? But I do like the art. So I think it'd be cool to add some lore implications. And it just makes the game feel more complete, right? So these are the maps that we've been banned, right? It's going to be Savage Tundra, 6 font, Iron Fist Pass. That's the one with the bridges on it. Gnarlwood River. That's the one with the bridge and the 2 fonts on the sides and the KF map, stuff like that. Lost City. That's the Undead City. Foglar Swamp, Shattered Peaks, Sundered Lands, and the Fire Lake. Sundered Lands, not to be confused with the ruins of Valdak. That is still going to be in play. The Sundered Lands one is the bridge with the tar pits on either side. So here's what I was getting to. We tried to do a fix because there are some maps that have a lot of water. And in-game, we know that there is non-impeding water. What does impeding mean? It means when you try to move in it with a non-amphibious unit, it costs an additional AP. Well, we know from trail water, water tide, all that stuff, there's non-impeding water. Here's what the case of the game is. Our game is 17 years old. The system has never been updated. It has always just been built atop of one another. So we have like this weird like hodgepodge Picasso looking building that then got turned upside down and threw into a brand new system because it was Java and now it went to Unity. So no one ever made non-impeding terrain water. So we tried to do a workaround to fix that because we couldn't create it ourselves without really messing some things up. And people who are like game designers being like, that's not, you can talk directly to Slugbait then. Don't please, because he's actually very busy. But if need be, I can ask him to send your questions to me and I'll give them to Slugbait and he can give you the actual professional response because he's been doing this stuff for over 20 years. All right. So to me, that he's my Jesus. Okay. So if you guys have if he tells me no, I'm just going to take it at face value, okay? Because this man's already done enough to prove to me that it's not because he doesn't want to do the work, it's just because it's not possible. So we tried to do a fix around, and what he told me was basically this. The game cannot change the idea that it is not impeding water, so it's still impeding water. The fix around is the game is now trying to tell both players that the water is no longer impeding by filling it with a space above it. I thought that was okay, and so did Slug, and it worked to our belief for like a week. And then we started knowing some weird interactions with terrain. I remember trying to cast Drown on a person on water, and it was untargetable. And now amphibious units are having issues, and it's not all the time. So we're probably going to revert that change since the maps are being removed already. And we're going to just try to find either way to fix that, and if we can't fix it, work around it, okay? We are sorry. We tried something new. It broke it. And this is just the risk we take all the time. Something else new is we did the AoEs to the shrines. And as we found out quickly, the dirt for the Shattered Peaks one was crashing the game. It almost crashed the server. This is just the fun of working on this game, right? Because at the end of the day, whatever happens, even if it wasn't your fault, you're still kind of held responsible. So that's fun. I love that about my job. And it's not a job. I say that kind of fictitiously or whatever the hell you want to say. I'm trying to keep this PG-13, folks. I get one F word and I'm really holding on to it, American views. But we're trying our best. All right. And It is, we are in a literal pile of garbage, and sometimes we think we clean something, and by cleaning something, we set a fire to the west wing of the garbage field, you know? We'll put it out. We're sorry. We're trying our best. I was told to stop apologizing so much, so I think I'll try to make that my last apology for right now. So I went over amphibious and water, stuff like that. If you find any other terrain stuff, you can throw it out there. We are tracking them, even if it's a double reply or something. It's good just to boot it up. I'm hoping that we can have the terrain fixes and the map stuff done before the new year, so in about 3 days or something. Slug gave me a thumbs up, but that doesn't mean much. I'm not saying he's unreliable. I'm just saying the man is very busy in his life, and I do not think this shouldn't be something he has to sit down and work on every day. That's just preposterous. Whenever he has free time and he can work on it, that's great. That's my opinion, and that's how I'm going to stick to it. If people have other opinions that are different, I'm happy. I'm happy that we can all have our opinions, and I respect them. Okay? I wanted to say I'm sorry right there, but I'm going to keep pushing on, guys. All right, let's scroll down. Revamp. Why are we doing the revamp? All right, so where are we at on the revamp? What is the revamp, stuff like that? All right, let's just get through this real quick. Why are we doing a revamp? I was made aware, to my knowledge, my best knowledge, I was made aware that we have an entire expansion. Expansion 30 is done. It was the player-made expansion. I'm talking this thing is ready to go. It just needs a few testings to make sure abilities work properly like they're stated, and to make sure everything's shiny, right? For a long time, we wanted to get, well, I didn't want that. Eth wanted to get it out, right? And I have no problem with this expansion. I think it'd be really cool. A lot of neat cards are in it, right? After a little bit, we were kind of given like a very brief, like, it's a possibility to release it, but never really told what the possibility is. We were later informed, I believe. And again, this is, like I said, I'm being informed. It's coming from memory and what I've been told by another person, right? I don't have any actual, so what I'm trying to do is make it so that way, if it doesn't happen, you guys are like, well, you promised. I'm not promising anything when it comes to Pox. I could wake up 4 hours from now and the game's turned off, right? Or I could leave and come back 15 years from now and the game's still going. That's the beauty of it. And that's a little scary, and we're hoping to make sure that's more solidified. To my best of knowledge, the game won't be turned off and the game won't end. And we've been given the green light, right? So let's get back on track. That was more of like a safety message, right? Like, don't get your hopes up, but this is pretty awesome. And I personally am going to get my hopes up and hope it does happen because I'm doing all this damn work for it. So we were told that all the bugs in the game need to be basically fixed. The quality of life of the game needs to be improved, and quote unquote balance needs to be achieved before we can release this expansion. And people are like, well, the balance patches were doing good. And you're like, yeah, but there's so much going on in this game that we would never realistically be able to catch up to a point. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, this is the best the game's ever felt. That's true, but I'm going to be honest. Looking at the numbers, I'm still going to say around 45 to 50% of the cards that aren't being played are still pretty bad. And I think it's just people are realizing that most themes are playable, just not all the cards in those themes. The idea of the revamp is we're going to be originally it was messing with cost formulas and all that stuff. After realizing that all that stuff is super hard to figure out, and even with people who are very savvy at math, still just like, it's not broken, so why try to mess with it? So formula is going to stay the same. Ability costing, though, I feel has been unfair. And what do I mean by that? Well, right now, almost every unit in the game, champion-wise, has a Nora modifier, being it positive or negative, to get their acquired cost. For a long time, we believed cutting all the Nora mods off would achieve a perfect balance, right? That world is what we call imagination land, kids. And that world is a world I can never build you, and we can never live in. It was decided by the embassy that it's better to have uniqueness and for things to feel fun than it is to have boring and balance, right? Now, I'm not saying there's boring in balance. I'm just saying the balance I was trying to get you guys is very it's boring. It's very like, I don't think anyone wants to be like, yeah, I have a 50 Nora unit, but it has 2 abilities and crap stats. And it's like, yep. Isn't that fantastic? No one wants that. People want their stuff to be fun. I'm not talking Corpse E era fun, okay? But I think there's a nice equilibrium between the balance level we have right now and making most champions feel unique and fun to play. And I said something along the lines of, right now it's very easy to see a lot of 2 times of the same card or champion because it increases your chance to draw it, right? I would much rather live in a world where we see more Highlanders and stuff, and people being more creative, where people be like, that card's really good, but what do I take? And people are like, well, I take this and this, but that's my personal preference because that's how I play. I want people to be able to match their play style to what they build around. Because right now, most of the times what I see is people, I think deck building's pretty much dead. And people are just trading out stuff that they find out that works. And it is a process. And that's why we have a lot of things called flavor of the month, which was basically someone who is a higher skilled player finds something good, and then it just becomes what everyone plays. Because no one wants to take a risk or a gamble. That sounds kind of harsh. People are taking risk and gambles. It's just there is a certain level of player which those people just don't really make decks anymore. Or they make decks that are hard to recreate on purpose because they don't want people copying them, or they think it's fun, right? I love that. That's great. And I still want that around if people want to share their decks and stuff. I just want people to be looking at a card and being like, huh, they take this, but I feel like this is way better. And I want them to be able to choose that without being punished. Because of right now, most people are going to say, these are the upgrades you take. Anything else, you're trolling, right? It's very rare we find units that are actually flexible in what they get to choose on their upgrade line. And I'd like to change that. Another thing is changing the Nora curve right now. There's a lot of units just don't make sense, why they cost certain amounts, stuff like that. Also, it just doesn't make sense because you see stuff that is like 80 Nora, and you're like, that should be pretty good. And you realize it's only 80 Nora because an ability it has is costed very harshly. And it just it doesn't seem fair. So the idea is keep the cost formula the same for stats, but change the abilities to be more along the line price to fit into the upgrade tree ranges, since we're going to be using modifiers anyway. That way our ranges can't be crazy, and it's easier to pick whatever you like. So it's not like, oh man, I would really like to choose, like block 2, but it's 9 Nora. So I guess I'll just go with evasive 1, which is like 3 or 4 or something, because it's cheaper, and I save 5 Nora, which pushes the tempo, right? And I know some people are thinking, oh my god, you are not biting off a piece of the food, you're cramming the entire plate in your mouth and hoping you can swallow this. And I say, yeah, it's terrifying. It is extremely terrifying. That's why we're trying to do this as slowly as possible, and that's why I'm asking again for your patience, because there's baby steps. We're still in the womb, okay? Like, wait for us to get out and have some time to, learn how to breathe air and develop our cognitive ability before we start even taking the baby steps to acquire this. We still have plans of trying to complete this in 2024. I'm confident we could do that. I'm not confident my partner will be very happy with my behavior if we do that. So we're going to play it by ear from here. And like I said, I'm going to try to do this every Friday. It won't be this long. This is like the very first one. So this is a very opening statement, stuff like that. That's the revamp. That's why we're doing all that. We need to get the maps changed. I want quality of life. I want bugs fixed. I want all this stuff. And it's not just me. It's the team too, right? Because we want to give you guys the expansion, because the thing we've noticed now is, look at the maps. We redid the maps and they weren't perfect, right? There's a lot of mistakes made. We've seen a huge resurgence of players, and not just for a few days. We've actually seen a lot of people stay because they're enjoying the game. Imagine if we release an expansion and people come back and they're like, man, this game is better than I remember it. Like, this game is the best it's been in years. And you're like, you're being a little over ambitious here. And I'm like, I am. Because that's the dream, right? If we could even get half of that, I'd be happy. Imagine if you logged on and there's a few hundred people playing Pox, not like 50 or 60 at any given time. Wouldn't that be truly magical? And I think that's the dream. We can speak more on that later in the future in a different conversation, my friend. But for now, let's keep moving forward, right? Right now, the abilities still need to be worked on and reaccosted / other stuff. Like, I want to clean up descriptions so it actually tells you what stuff does. I want to clean up different things. This also comes with the idea of, we mentioned in the past, the ability culling, where we're going to be taking out certain ranks because you don't need all those ranks. There's a lot of abilities in the game, and I know Eth wants to add even more. I'm going to say to an extent, because I don't think a lot of abilities, and this is where I kind of talked to Slug about this, and a lot of the features we want in the game and stuff are very hard to put in a 17-year-old game because it's hard to do. It'd be easier to build a new game, and people are like, why don't you build Pox 2? We have people still coming in saying, I want to buy this game. We're gonna remake Pox and stuff like that. I could do a 4-hour video essay with examples, bullet points, get an editor, make it a multi-$1,000 production to explain to you why that just isn't relevant. I left a pretty lengthy post on our Discord page in a hidden, like not a hidden, but like a sub. And it kind of explains why that's just not a possibility, right? Which kind of sucks because then it re-puts us back in that place of a hard rock and a hard place in a boulder, you know. Man, I could use a cup of tea. But we're gonna keep chugging on, guys. All right. So I need to get abilities just done, and you're like, oh, that sounds good. There's like 1,900 abilities. I think I last left off on like 78, 80, and you're like, that is terrible. You haven't made any progress. I've had a lot of real life stuff happen. I was hoping to knock it out these last 2 weeks, and due to unforeseen circumstances, it just wasn't possible. Okay, so I am behind. I'm hoping still to knock it out in a few weeks, which is crazy saying that. I'm just gonna set a timer and try to work on this for 2 to 3 hours a day, so I don't overwork myself and start to hate myself in this game again, right? But we're behind on that. I mentioned Lanu is getting the website going and stuff, and hopefully it should be up pretty soon. I'm hoping by 2024 I can start work on revisions and getting stuff, and by early March, I think I said early March in our chat, I want to have at least 1 to 2 themes or 1 to 2 like large previews for each faction to show you what I'm hoping I unveil this stuff and people just start like crying, but in a good way. Like they're like, it's beautiful. What really will happen is I'll unveil it. 1/4 of the community will like it. 1/4 of the other, you know, and it'll keep going on like that. But that's the goal, right? And I want you guys to be involved as much as possible, to the extent of I don't want you guys trying to create your own designs. You can. I want you guys to do that, but I don't want you to submit them thinking that they're going to just go directly in the game. It's very rare that we do a direct translate anymore into the game, and I could leave a laundry list of problems we have had in the past because of this. I've done it, Eth's done it, everyone's to blame on this, and everyone's also innocent, right? So I would much rather, if you have any ideas, submit them. If they gain a lot of traction, we can pick them through the community, or you can send them privately to me and we can discuss them, stuff like that. And if they're really good, they will be made into the game. I can say this right now. The user Frozen Duel has made, I think, 4 or 5 really fantastic ST designs, and they just instantly win in the game. And like that's it. If you make a fantastic design, I'll throw it in the game. What mostly happens is I'm also not innocent of this. We have biases. We don't understand certain things. Our power levels are not what is expected and stuff like that. And they're like, why should you be then the one to do all this, right? Because people are going to have that accusation. Then like, why are you in charge and stuff like that? You're not perfect. You're right. I'm not perfect. Anyone could probably do this job, tell you the truth, or this position I fill. I'm not that special. I just got it because I think I got it because I didn't want to do this anymore. And I was in your guys' position at one point. I was just part of the community at one point, and I actually I left because I was getting pretty sick and tired of it. And then I was asked to come back, and I stepped up. And I can say this right now: I don't think anything I've done has gone without mistakes or flaws, regardless of what a past me has said. And I've treated each moment as a learning opportunity, and I will continue to do so as I go forward until I step down. And to those who don't like me and are like, when are you going to step down? Life's weird, man. You never know, right? Probably when my kids are born. My girlfriend's not pregnant. She's still my girlfriend. So I think we have a little bit of time, but I'm going to be open and transparent. Okay. I think that's the new way to do things, is just open and transparency. So moving on, we're a little bit behind. I already explained why we're doing this expansion 30 and stuff like that. It's the player made expansion. Everything's done. I think people know about it, even like stuff like that, but it'd be nice to get it out. Excuse me, I had a little burp there. I'm sorry if you heard that. we're going on to player feedback real quick, and then we'll be done, and we'll hit everything else, right? So only this time 2 people really had any feedback. A lot of people had to leave, or they just didn't have any questions. They were answered. Here's some player feedback. The first one was Pox Junkie, or Hermeos as he's known. We spoke briefly about doing a rank change, and I've said this in the past that we're trying to bring back old rank icons. We also want to adjust the rank ladder. And he said go back to before, how it was like -1 or +1, and then they're like up to 32 points. And just adjust the ranges for the community. If we bring back icons and stuff like that, we could surely do that. Another idea I had was each icon needs to have a range in its rank. Right now, after rank reset, everyone is set at 1,000 rating, because if you lose, you need to go under, right? We could do anything below 1,000 is common league. Anything above, and this is all hypothetical. I have not thought about this through or at all. This is just spitballing, pulling from the side. There's a lot of things we can do. We can talk more as we go on, but I think something I'd really like to do is, we have a smaller community. Even if it grows large, we still have a smaller community. Skill levels are infinitely everywhere, right? But we know that there's a small group in our game that I would say goes to about 20 to 15 people that always get to the top, right? They're our higher player level. They're our top tier players. I would like it, because right now there's no punishment for people just getting games they don't want to play and leaving, because the LP system doesn't really matter. It's all about grinding and stuff like that. I would like it to make games more serious, where like if Tiny Dragon gets into a game with a nobody, he just doesn't care about, he's gonna FF to try to get a game against, like, I don't know, Neppy or Rav or Getza or Herm or Karma or whoever, right? Man, my nose is killing me. I'm gonna die here. I'm sorry, guys, if you can hear any of that. I'm dying. Hooray to those who want to see me die. I don't think anyone actually does, but we're getting back on rants. Let's keep it on topic, Rorschach. Come on. But yeah, I think it'd be nice, because it also help us out with the alt issue we have. More players than others, funny enough. But no one enjoys getting a game with someone they don't know and then just getting absolutely curb stomped. And it's not fair to the pros either, because they get to a certain part of LP where they just can't get a game in queue. They'll sit in queue for like 30 minutes and nothing will pop, right? So I think it'd be best if we could try to do the risk reward system and also tweak it so that way, like, if you do get a game against a nobody, you have to take it seriously. And by taking it seriously, that should at least get you through the game quicker. It wouldn't feel good for the lower rank player, but guess what? If you get beaten by someone a higher rank and you only lose like 1 LP, that's no problem, right? But if that higher rank person loses, they should lose a good chunk of LP. This stops people from just grinding and not playing against good players just so they can get a higher rank for gloating rights. That's not a big issue right now, but there are some players who still do it. And just stuff like that. And if we bring back old icons, the top 10 will be very sought after, since it will change your name and the color and all that stuff. And oh, another side topic. I would love to fix 2v2, by the way. I've been on this for a while. It didn't make it into the thing. Maybe next week we can go more in depth in it, but I know a lot of people don't care about it, but I don't care about it either. But we do have people who do care about it, and it's right that they should enjoy the game just like we enjoy it, right? So stay tuned for that, whoever's out there. Maybe someone will write a question about it next week and we can incorporate it in. So we talked about the rank icons. Slug said that he's having a lot of issues with them, and since they're not prime targets, we're gonna push that back. So whenever we do that, just know that it'll probably be after like the revamp, maybe before the expansion or maybe after the expansion. We don't know. And again, the expansion, I'm saying all these things like they're gonna happen. Again, this is our tentative plan. Things could change. It could become quicker. It could become slower. We don't know, guys. We're just Ken. But another thing that Herm brought up, which was map direction. He said it was good. Some designs need to be redone, and he said that player 1 should lose more advantage and stuff like that. And I agreed with him and stuff like that. That was just me not knowing. I didn't have any experience. And if people want to be like, well, we could have done stuff. No one knows this, because to my knowledge, maps have never changed to a degree besides some new additions like the basket case map, which was so bad they fucking threw it out. Ah, I used my one F word. No, they threw it out just like instantly. So yeah, it was like, yeah, we took a huge risk. And honestly, as long as one map from the changes was good, I'm going to call it a win. And I think from what I've gathered, a lot of it was received fairly well. Now, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, right? I'm just trying to like say, like, if we do any changes, as long as something good comes out of it, I'm going to say it's a win. Because I made the analogy of if we do nothing, we're wrong. If we do anything, we're wrong. So regardless, we're going to be wrong either way. And someone's probably going to have it in their mind. They're going to want to argue and stuff. And I get it. I also said, I'm going to rant a little bit about this. I also said this too, which was, I feel like there's a lot of anger in our community, and I'm not innocent from it. I used to be it too. And to a certain point, it still comes out of me to a certain degree, but I'm trying to change as a person in my life. And the analogy I made was, before I was very much like heavy metal, you know, like a Slipknot type of like Godsmack, that type of stuff. I was very heavy metal, angry, full of just anger for no reason, right? And it could be anything. And I feel like if anyone disagreed, I would acknowledge them, but then I would, instead of even trying to see what they said, I would instantly just try to play like devil's advocate or something. Because I feel like it is important to have a naysayer, but it's also important to be respectful when you're the naysayer. And I feel like since the internet has become so popular over our lifetimes and stuff, it's just easy to disassociate that there's people out there. Like, we lost the humanity of it, and we just see pixels and words, right? And it's easy just to treat them like they're less than human. I get it. Like I said, I'm not innocent of it either. I feel like a lot of people are Slipknot, you know, those heavy metal bands, Disturbed. I don't know what's heavy metal anymore. I don't listen to American metal anymore. I could say some of my, and like, I felt like I was White Ward, you know. I felt like I was, you know, Alcest. I felt like I was Death Haven, stuff like that. And I was just always just like, there's just internal screaming constantly. And now I feel more like Pink Floyd, where like I am depressed that life is kind of shitty, but like I'm trying to be happy about it and enjoy my time left. And that's just coming with maturity and aging and stuff like that. I know a lot of people think that I'm much older than I am, and I'm not going to say my age. I know I've told a few people, but I'll leave that to mystery on YouTube. But I am still a young buck in the prime of my life, and I have a lot to learn. And young men tend to be very thick-headed. That's a good word. To protect our brains from bashing our skulls against everything as we travel through life until we realize, you know, I don't think I'm completed. I'm not trying to be like, I'm the wise Garu now. Not Garu, but Guru. I'm not that, but I'm trying. Okay, I'm trying to become better. And I'm also trying to make sure that this is a change that also helps the community and doesn't hurt it. Rant over. Keep going. Herm's last thing about the reworks was mainly the nerfs. In the past, we've really double hit things, or we've been unfair with some of the nerfs. They've been off the collar. And mainly it's because community outcry or output. And it's not just because like somebody says, I want to nerf this and it gets instantly nerfed. It has to be in the majority. I was born in America, and even though America isn't a democratic country anymore, we are still a democratic game to an extent. I know some people thought we were tyranny. And by the way, that America joke, that was a joke. I'm sorry. I'm starting to get low energy and winded compared to the beginning of the video. That was very much a joke, my listener. I don't talk about politics or religion. I do the dinner table etiquette. You know, this is some really good turkey, really good. And if we're vegans, this is some really good baked turkey. You know, really good. But he just said that we should stop double hitting stuff, and I agree. We like I said, I've learned a lot in my time in this position, and I've made a lot of mistakes and stuff like that. A good example I can own up to was semi-aquatics were said to be pretty OP. Or OP being overpowered. And we not only hit some of their water gen, but we hit most of their spells. And I quickly realized that it was a knife's edge of how powerful they were. So in the future, I've suggested that. And you're like, well, then why are we doing the revamp at all if they can just do small adjust? Listen, we don't have all day to talk about this, all right? And I'm not trying to make an excuse. We're doing the revamp because there's just so much stuff that needs to be fixed. It's easier to do it with a clean slate than trying to edit the picture one frame at a time. If that makes sense. If it doesn't, we can talk offline, or we can talk privately, or we can do whatever you like. I'm here to help. But moving on, after the revamp, I'm very much in that same sense where it's like, okay, is this OP? Why is it OP? We should really try to, what's the word? We should really try to cut open and dissect why things are issues. And you're like, well, shouldn't you be doing that from the start? Hindsight is 2020, my friend. Hindsight is 2020, and I thought to an extent we were, but I now realize there's so much more as I'm looking back. I am a hypocrite when it comes to the idea of, I told a lot of people, oh, you're just seeing the tree, you're not looking at the forest. My friend, I was looking at a picture of a tree. I'm trying to walk into the forest, and I found out that I have terrible allergies, but I'm going to keep going, okay? That was a joke, but also kind of the truth. Moving forward, that's the plan. So in the future, it's like, this thing's really strong. Okay, is it strong in the sense that we need to remove something? Is it strong in the sense that we need to tweak the design that it originally had? Or is it strong in the sense that we needed to just take some Nora off or take some Nora on? You know, what can we do to just lightly slap this thing, right? And a lot of people aren't going to like this, but in this new world with the minor adjustments and stuff, if something is so prevalent and it's breaking the game, let's say an example would be Ice Fang from post nerf, right? That thing was everywhere. Every deck almost had it if you want to be competitive. We can temporarily ban that until we resolve it. And people are like, nothing should be banned. Why? Every other game does it. Now, there are some things that are permanently banned. I don't think anything should be permanently banned. But almost every other game has a temporary ban list. Or like a restriction. We have over we have over like 4,000 cards, right? There's like over so many champions. One card isn't going to mean much, right? And if it gives it time for the community to come together and chat about what to do with that card and how to fix it, that's good, because I'd rather that card be not in the flow and continue to destroy and upset people. I'd rather it be off to the side waiting to be fixed. Now, if this becomes like, oh, we have 50 cards on the ban list, yeah, that is a problem. And you're like, well, how do you stop? Well, you can make a soft cap, say there's only 10 ban list, and before anything else can get added, these things have to be solved. There are ways around this, guys. So keep that in mind as we continue further along in the future. It's not like an issue. It's temporary. Like most of the things is, like, we're about to do a balance patch, I think, and I let the community run with this one and try to do the most of it. But that balance patch is not going to be permanent because of the revamp. It's a temporary thing. I like the idea of temporary things like that, right? I don't want anything to be permanent. That sounds, besides like the revamp. But even then, like if I mess up, I will own up to it and I will beg to try to fix it. I hope that doesn't happen with how much careful and planning we're going into it, but it might. It's still a possibility. And I don't want to scare anybody. Like I said, we are trying our best, right? And we're going to keep trying, and we're going to keep trying to be safe and make all these things. But I know that's not good enough for some people, and I understand, and that I'm sorry. That will be my final apology, is I'm sorry. But some things just aren't made for you, and you have to understand that there's a big world out there, and a lot of people enjoy different certain things. So as we continue, the majority will be the thing. Like I said, I'll still be a mediator, and I'll try to fight for what's fair. And people are like, how do you know what's fair? I don't. I'm just trying to... It's like a judge. You think all judges are good? No. Right? You think all judges know what's right and wrong? Doctors do? No. We're all humans. We make mistakes. We're just trying our best. That's all I'm asking from everybody. Just try your best. I'm never going to be angry. I mean, that's probably hypocrite right there, hypocritical, but I'm never going to be truly mad at anyone if they're just trying their best. That's all I can ask for at the end of the day. Moving on to the last stuff real quick. T Ninja here requested some new users, returning user stuff. Some of those things being a larger Discord button, since a lot of users don't know about the Discord, which will be linked down below. It's where a lot of things happen. It's where we talk the most. It's where most of the community lives at. Bigger Discord button, some sort of message that pops up telling you about some of the things, like you should be playing on the Steam version of Poxnora only. If you're playing off the client version on the website, you're not getting any of our updates, and it's risky to play on that. The only safe version is the Steam version on PC and stuff like that. For my PS4 players, I am sorry, but I'm going to tell you the truth. We are not really thinking about the PS4, and we're hoping that eventually Sony takes it off the store so we can have more freedom to continue the game. If you are a PS4 player, I behoove you to keep enjoying the game and reach out with your concerns. And we're not like forgetting about you. It's just we have no one to do the necessary things to help you guys, and Slug has no actual knowledge on how to do some of the stuff needed to help you guys. So it's just a field where it's a minefield and we don't feel like walking through it right now or in the near future. It's literally on the bottom of our list. And I'm not trying to discourage anybody. It's just there's so many restrictions and things in our way that it's hard for us to get to it, okay? Another thing that T mentioned is a referral system for new players, which I think is a good idea. That referral system being like, you get cards or shards or stuff like that. On that note, I want to say some of that HR stuff, or not HR, some of the UI stuff and all that stuff, I'm going to leave up to Eth. I mainly just want to focus on design. The last few months, I've tried to do everything as Eth had to take a step back due to some real life stuff going on. He's fine, I believe. I tried to pick up the slack, and it was just too much for one man to handle. And I understand, and I think he does too. So I'm trying to load back off those responsibilities to him, and I think he actually has a better sense than me on what is a good idea and what isn't for like new players and stuff like that. But other than that, we're gonna scroll down and hey, look at that! It's rant time, baby. We already did the ranting though. There's no more rants. So tune in on Fridays for the community open meeting. Next meeting will probably be on Saturday, January 6th at 5 p.m. as I listed up here on the screen. It will be Alaska Standard Time, which is about 1 hour behind West Coast time. You can easily Google AKST, Alaska Standard Time, and then figure out what time zone and do the math. If you can't make it, you can still submit questions. I will record and I will answer your questions, and you can see it in the video. You can leave comments down below, and I will try my best in the first couple days to answer though. After that, I will probably never look at that video again because I have very harsh criticism on my own content. Shit. I don't know why I said that. We're starting to get to the end here. But yeah, tune in on Fridays for the community open meeting. Like I said, next meeting, I'm going to try to do it Saturday, January 6th at 5 o'clock. My time. Anyone else is free to join. I believe that's like 9 p.m. East Coast time. I want to try to keep it on Fridays or Saturdays because that's the most available day for most people. Like I said, I'm going to be trying to upload these to YouTube so no one misses anything. If you have anything, questions, comments, concerns, grievances, complaints, threats, please no threats, but threats, send them. Please no threats. We're nice people. We try to be nice people. I don't think anyone deserves threats, okay? But yeah, so try to send all that stuff in. This is Rorschach, also known as Dom, also known as Dom of the Dead, also known as a bunch of other stupid names. I'm here. We're trying. Please, just have fun. Try your best. And that's all. I'm signing off. Gals, girls, and what does Jazz say? Genderless pals? Guys, girls, and genderless pals? I don't know. He has that catchphrase, but anyone, I don't care who you are, green, purple, blue, whatever, I love you. You're important. We're about to go into 2024, and guess what? These last few years might have sucked, but let me tell you what. This year also might suck, but whatever you're doing, I want you to grab life by the horns, and I want you to steer that motherfucker. See, that's why I was trying to save it for a big pep talk. I want you to steer that motherfucker in whatever direction you want to go, and I want you to say, listen, buddy, you either get busy living or you get busy dying, and I'm tired of dying. Live your best life, do the things you want to do, try to be nice to others, be a positive force in this world because there's too many negatives anymore. This is your boy Rorschach, this is my outro, and I'm signing off until next time, boys and girls, ladies and dudes, theys, thems. I'm trying my best, god damn it, and I want everyone to know you matter, you're important, you're loved, you're seen, you notice, and you belong, and have a fucking great day. That's it. Peace out. Rorschach in the house.